Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talk. So here we see King Charles. He has been diagnosed with cancer, so we are told by the fake stream media, and we are told this was discovered after a prostate reduction operation. And of course, this has led to much discussion about maybe Charles now possibly abdicating and William taking over as king. Oh, the gossip. As if this is important. I mean, as if these counterfeit kings and their accruing of wealth and greed and their material excess and jewels and parading up and down waving, as if this should be relevant to any one of us, when in reality all that they stand for is completely meaningless. Their power is just castles that are built upon sand. They wear crowns of jewels stolen from countries across the world, while the true King of Kings, he wore a crown of thorns. Today, in this secular age, people believe in earthly kings, while the majority don't believe in God at all. Then you've got, of course, all of the Antichrist theorists who come in now and say, oh, William could be the Antichrist. Oh, hold on, is it not Trump? Now, is it not Charles? No? If you're a regular viewer, you should know my opinion on that. Check out my series of 2 videos uploaded recently called The Antichrist Deception. Now, the last video I uploaded, the Democracy Deception, I talked briefly on how the system works, how the monarchy works, how they have this setup where they claim to be chosen by God to be king, to rule, yet they have to remain neutral, cannot become involved politically, have no passport, no driving license, are not subject to the law because they are not part of the system. And they set up this left-right political system that engages the public to vote, that is set up to soak up the wrath of God. This system is supposed to protect the king, queen from God's wrath. And they set up you and the political system you vote for as the sponge that soaks up the wrath. I mean, put it this way. They want you to vote because they want your consent to have them represent you. I mean, in law, your representative is your agent. And what they do then in your name. By participating in voting, you have implicitly consented to the process. Once you engage in this system, you then bind yourself to their decisions, whether they are the candidate you voted for or not. And in scripture, as we've talked about before, it is God who chooses rulers and kings. But they are not always necessarily good. Sometimes they are bad and evil and are chosen so to punish the masses for whatever reason, maybe because they turn their back on God or worship false idols. This is a theme, a story throughout the Bible. For example, in scripture, we have the King Saul he was wanted by the people because they had set their hearts on an earthly king to lead them into battle and give them a sense of national identity, security and unity. Their request, them wanting this king, it reflected a lack of faith and trust in their covenant relationship with the Lord. They wanted an earthly king so they could be like the kingdoms around them, whose leaders exhibited an image of magnificence and ceremonious style, like pomp and ceremony, extravagant gold horse-drawn carriages and jewel-encrusted crowns, etc., etc. In scripture, many times throughout, we see people wanting a celebrity king who would be a showpiece for their vanity and worldliness, for their power and their grandeur. In scripture, the prophet Samuel, he sent a message to the people from the Lord. He stated that the Lord warned the people that such a king would come at a high cost. He would draft their sons to plant his fields and make war for his selfish ambitions. He would make their daughters menial labourers in his kitchens for his parties, and he would tax everything they owned to support himself and his friends. Furthermore, the Lord promised them that if they persisted in desiring an earthly king instead of him, he would not hear them in the day of their oppression and misery. And you see the same thing today. There's nothing new under the sun. So ultimately, you're going to see a lot of talk over this now. If you watch your Black Mirror screens, you're going to see talk about King Charles, William, abdication and so on. And certain people going on about how they might be the Antichrist, and all of this it's just not worth your time. All of this gossip and speculation is not worth your time because it's about worldly things. As it says in Corinthians 3:2, set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. And when you see King Charles or Queen Elizabeth or Prince William, you're looking at the heads of state of these worldly material establishments, what they call the Commonwealth. That's basically your wealth accumulated. Organizations that store massive amounts of money, they accumulate insane amounts of wealth. They are in positions of power. They say they are themselves chosen by God. They call it the divine right of kings. And if this is the case, this does not mean they are chosen by God to do good or to be good. It could be quite the opposite. Many kings, as I've just shown with Saul, unbeknown to them, many were chosen by God in Scripture in order to punish the masses for worshipping, false idols, or for society becoming morally bankrupt. Are you just seeing an echo of that today? Is it just a repeat? And these rulers, these kings today, they don't know this. They don't understand the great plan going on in the background. So, evil rulers can be appointed by God to punish a nation. Sometimes Christians find it hard to accept that evil rulers are from God. But the Bible, Scripture, it teaches us that they are. I mean, in this day and age, when you're faced with a difficult problem or a situation, how many of you pray? How many of you ask God for help? How many of you, or at least ask God for wisdom to guide you in the right direction? How many of you do that? And then compare that with how many who, when faced with problems, look to man for guidance, look to a leader or a ruler or a government for help, or a movement to oppose the government to help. In Scripture, many times the masses forsake God, worship false idols, and for this God would allow them to be punished because of their abandonment and apostasy against him. And one way of doing this would be God placing people in positions of power who were greedy, selfish, and would not treat their people well. And so all of this speculation and gossip over King Charles or Kate Middleton, etc., is to keep these people in the spotlight so they are followed. But they are just figureheads of a Babylonian system, which people should be getting out of. A Roman Babylonian empire which never went away. You shouldn't be gossiping about it. You shouldn't be focusing on it. You should be running the other way. It says, "Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues." That's Revelation 18:4. The end-time Babylon described in Revelation is the culmination of humanity's attempt to rule itself apart from God. As it states in Scripture, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. There is only one King of Kings, and what you see on your Black Mirror devices are all counterfeit rulers, counterfeit news, counterfeit kings, chosen to mislead the masses who have, unfortunately, forsaken God. I mean, you've heard me say it many times that this is all like a pantomime, it's all staged. And it is. I've been saying this for a long time, that it's all staged. There is a counterfeit for everything. Even those people who wear the yellow tops, who say, abolish the monarchy, have the yellow, not my king placards. These people are counterfeit anti-monarchists. The system creates a counterfeit movement for any possible movement that comes along, that could come along. All right? It's because they need to control every facet of the narrative that comes out of those Black Mirror screens that everyone is goggle-eyed over. They need to control every opinion and narrative, even if it's about something they don't want to be made public. So when you're faced with so many illusions, with such a lack of truth, with so many counterfeits, with a world full of people looking for truth to come from the mainstream media or the alternative media and the internet, and all of that being controlled by Satan, who is called the father of lies, you can see that watching or listening to this type of thing is not a good strategy going forward. That's why you need to switch it all off. As I've said before, stop following man-made myths and follow scripture. So thank you as always. Come and subscribe to my website, or alternatively bookmark my website, as I am slowly over time being completely hidden from the internet. Okay, all of my social media pages now get very little interaction. I've been shadow banned into oblivion due to hardly anyone seeing the posts now. My website doesn't even send out the emails to the majority of subscribers. So if you want to keep in touch, you could bookmark the site and subscribe to the website, as I have a plan on changing the system that sends out emails in the future. Anyway, as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for your time and your support, and I will see you later.
Your eyes are a shade of blue. The light from the screen, is it telling you what to do? Your mind, are your thoughts now really your own? Or are you a victim of an MK Ultra show? Take care not to be deceived. Those actors on the stage, they're all working for the beast machine. Corrupt your mind in every way. The false prophet brought fire down from the sky this way. Don't say you never were warned. You need to again be born. Whoa. You're going round on a wheel of sand. Where's the fake stream media span? Whoa. It's just mind control. The internet around it is a snare, like a big black hole. All roads lead to Rome, the same old song. To keep you from salvation is the plan they had all along. Don't say you never were warned. You need to again be born. Whoa, whoa. You're going round on a wheel of sand, which the fake stream media span. Whoa, whoa. Take care to not be deceived. not for you can believe. No. Are you following man-made scripts as opposed to following scripture? Are you following man-made scripts as opposed to following scripture? Take care to not be deceived.